Today we're talking about info for 2 upcoming guards that we've talked a little bit about in the past, but we have more details now because with the new PTS being out, there is new information on SMITE data mining about both Mulan and Baba Yaga, and we're going to talk about that. And we'll begin this by taking a look at Mulan's card art, which is actually available on PTS already. You can see what she will look like in game, and I gotta say I am very impressed. I think this is, for me personally, one of the coolest guard designs we've had in a long time. I really like literally everything about this. So what's clear right away is that visually she doesn't lean all too heavily on the Disney adaptation. I think Hi-Rez had to do that to avoid any issues with that in the long run, and I think they did a good job of finding their own design for her. I really like that her design is not super feminine, because her entire lore is based on her kind of pretending to be a guy and fighting along with the other warriors. And from this design, sure, there are some subtle hints that she might be a girl, but she doesn't look super girlish. Not quite sure why they had to include that super minor boot plate in that regard, but overall I think the design looks very, very fitting for her. I also like the color accents that they're using here. They have this contrast between gold, red and emerald green, which just looks very, very nice overall. And of course, the fact that she's holding 2 weapons is very appealing to me as well. Because that means that the extensive weapon mastery that she has in her lore is also factored in her design, in her kit. So overall, we get a very good idea which direction her character design also will be moving towards when it comes to her abilities from her visual style. And this is interesting because we already heard from Ajax very recently that she is very, very likely to be a warrior, because he said the warrior who rises above all. And in that context, I want to make a little bit of a prediction here that may turn out to be incorrect, but I have a strong feeling, based on some other factors that we get to later as well, that this might be the case. So I think Mulan will be a warrior, but our last warrior release was Horus and our last assassin release was Set. They were both at the same time, and since then we had a mage release, a mage hunter release, a hunter release, and a guardian release. So these are the 2 roles where we absolutely expect a new character relatively soon. We can also reach forward a little bit in information here. The next character afterwards, Baba Yaga, will have magical damage, so she'll either be a guardian or a mage. And that means that the class that we're not getting is not getting another character for a while, so very likely the assassin. And what I think is going to happen is Mulan is going to be a very aggressive, damage-focused warrior. The last warrior release, Horus, was very, very defensive. He was a support more than he is a solo laner, and is definitely not on the aggressive side. And the last one before that was King Arthur, and that's been quite a while. So I think in order to kind of satisfy both the warrior players with a new aggressive warrior and maybe the assassin players, give them something that feels similar to bridge the gap until the next assassin release, I can very much see Mulan being on the aggressive side, maybe a little bit more basic attack focus based on the multiple weapons that she has, and maybe even one of those characters that can flex between jungle and solo, but that's maybe a bit too much of a reach without knowing more about her yet. And as I said, we have some hints of that in her kit, so let's talk about her kit as far as we know it right now. So the passive itself has something to do with an evolution. It has some evolution stacks that are potentially in your inventory or possibly related to your abilities. And you have this other part of the passive, which is Evolve, which has some function in abilities 1, 2, and 3 for something called Evolve. So again, overall, it seems very likely that she will be able to evolve her abilities. In a sense, that may be something that allows her to master her weapons. The evolution device is something that's also mentioned along with the passive, which has 3 evolution stages, also icons for the interface, and evolution XP levels. So the evolution needs and gains XP. It also has an equip effect that triggers status effects, which I'm guessing that when an ability might be evolved, that it has this equip of a new status or something, and you or something else can initialize the evolution. It also allows you to fire the evolution ability, which may just be a way to use that evolution thing. And this whole thing also may apply an evolution stat increase under specific conditions. The evolution can evolve or devolve, so you can go back somehow. Ferreo thinks that it sounds like the abilities may have 3 tiers and different effects depending on which tier you level them to. The first ability is an evolution device, so can be evolved. And the first new information about it is that it has a cone attack angle of 180 degrees. It can attack twice and it fires ammunition, so it's probably a device that fires projectiles. We can see from her card art now that she doesn't really carry any projectile weapon on her unless you want to count the spear as a projectile, but I highly doubt that she will be throwing her spear and also wouldn't really match the cone attack angle. So I'm not entirely sure how this plays out or if the ammunition actually is more of a charge for something. The evolution can apply status effects, so I imagine this might just change certain impact of the ability, maybe it applies a dot or something, and it has 3 different icons for the evolutions. Another new information about it that goes in line with what I am currently predicting about her kit regarding the aggressiveness of it is that it can somehow apply an attack speed buff. It's unclear if this attack speed buff is just for Mulan or if it's for everyone around you or similar, and we still have to wait to find out how drastic of an attack speed buff this is, if she can actually go into attack speed items along with that or if it's more of a minor increase. The second ability, much like the first one, also has this evolution device node, so it can probably evolve as well. It now has some new information, the first saying Spear Stage 1 and the second saying Spear Stage 2. And in addition to that, it has a slow. Now, the question is if the stages refer to the different evolutions of the ability, the different levels, or if there are 2 different stages of attack. Maybe she holds her spear back first and then thrusts forward or something, and those are the different stages that are meant here. The slow would also enhance her basic attack capabilities, so I would not be surprised if she is relatively basic attack focused between the attack speed buff and the slow, allowing her to stick to enemies longer and hit them more. The third ability, again, has the evolution device node, and now we know that it's a projectile. The next node here is rope. Now she doesn't carry a rope on her, even though she has those sashes or flaps or whatever of her outfit flowing behind her. It could technically be that this is something similar to Naja's sash, but I would be surprised if they really use that same ability again, and it also would make a lot less sense with her kit as a whole, and I kind of suspect that they might stick to non-magical abilities for her. This ability also provides at least you and maybe more with a protection buff. So this is where the warrior aspect comes in a little bit more. Along with that, this ability has the nodes Spear Projectile Stage 1 and 2. This might mean that maybe in the second ability she hits with a spear, and in the third one she maybe throws the spear and then after a while you can pick it back up or something. It seems like the spear is very heavily utilized in her kit, but the question is if maybe one of these abilities is not in the final kit, maybe one of them is just a test version and the other one is included or something. Maybe we will not see as much of the spear as it sounds like right here. The ultimate would technically also go in line with that. It has a targeting stage 1, 2 and 3 and is a projectile. So again, she doesn't seem to have that many projectiles on her unless she's using some form of magic, which again I hope she doesn't. And that doesn't leave her with all that many things to use as a projectile. Maybe she is gonna get a bow and we just don't see that in this art, but that would be kind of against how Hi-Rez usually does things. So we'll find out what exactly all these projectiles mean. But what's also important about the ultimate is that it comes with a root. So if we look across her kit, she has multiple buffs and multiple CCs, attack speed buff and a protection buff, but also a slow and a root. And again, I think this all works very well together if she's very basic attack focused as a warrior, because all of these things kind of would assist with that. And then we also have a little bit of information for Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga has the title Witch of the Woods, and we know now that her basic attack deals 33 damage plus 1.5 per level and 20% of your magical power. So that is why we know that she deals magical damage. Her first ability is a projectile. That's all the information we have. We don't know anything about ability 2 and 3 yet, but we know a little bit about the ultimate. And that is that it's currently called Dark Stance with magical power and MP5 being increased. These are stats from Hell's Dark Stance. What Hi-Rez sometimes does is they copy similar abilities and use them for the kit and then adjust them for the character. And the main deal with the Dark Stance is obviously the stance swap itself. So it could be that Baba Yaga has some form of stance swap in her ultimate. And I could imagine, theoretically, especially as it is already shown in the trailer, that Baba Yaga is somehow able to use her house which walks on chicken legs. I also found one source claiming that Baba Yaga can transform into a beautiful young woman to then trick and misguide others, so maybe that could be the ultimate as well. We'll definitely need more information on this ability before we can make any more certain predictions, but those are the ideas that I have so far. And that's it for today. Tomorrow we talk about a Season 7 starting strat that I really like, and that also heavily counters any attempt at invading. So all of you talking about the invade meta the whole time, that should probably be over. If you want to see that video and more content from me in the future, feel free to click the sub button and maybe the bell, so you'll be notified. Other than that, thank you very much for watching, and I see you for the next one tomorrow. DukeSloth, out.